That's the part I can't forget. His chest was still, his eyes were open, and everyone on the beach knew we were not safe. I grew up on a small island in the Eastern Caribbean, not a tourist place, no big resorts, just fishing boats, loud radios, and salt everywhere. Old people still told stories at night when the power went out. This one wasn't told for fun. When I was a kid, my grandfather warned us about a pirate named Captain Jude. That wasn't his real name, but no one used the real one anymore. He said Jude worked the islands in the 1800s, not like the movie kind. No singing, no romance. Jude stole cargo. He killed crews. He sold people. If someone begged, he laughed. If someone prayed, he made them pray longer. The story went that Jude betrayed his own crew. He led them to a cove, told them there was gold buried there, then locked them inside a sea cave when the tide came in. They drowned, screaming. Later, other pirates caught him and left him on a beach to die. They cut his sails, burned his ship, and chained his hands. When the sun went down, they were sure he'd be dead by morning. But nobody stayed to watch. That part mattered. I stopped believing the story when I grew up. I became a dock worker. Normal life. Bills, rum on Fridays. No ghosts. Then the dredging started. A foreign company came to deepen the harbor so bigger ships could dock. Big machines, loud steel arms. They paid locals to help. I needed the money. On the third day, we pulled up wood. Not driftwood. Planks. Thick. Black from age. Pegs, not nails. An old man named Elias saw it and said one thing. "Stop digging." The boss laughed and told him to move. They dug more. That's when we found the chain. Iron links, big as wrists. Rusted but solid. One end went down into the mud. The other was snapped, like it broke under force. No one joked after that. We pulled up more wood. Curved pieces, burn marks. The shape was wrong for a dock. It was a hull, an old hull. Someone said, "Pirate ship," and everyone went quiet. That night, the tide didn't sound right. I live close to the water and I know its noises. That night, it sounded like breathing. Slow, heavy. I didn't sleep. The next morning, Elias didn't come to work. By noon, a fisherman found his boat drifting. Engine off, no fuel leak, no blood, just his hat on the seat. They said he fell overboard. Elias never fell. That afternoon, the boss pushed us to work faster. He said the company was losing money. When the mud cleared, we saw the name burned into the wood. Not painted, burned deep. Jude. Someone crossed themselves. Someone else ran. The boss told us it was just a name. Then the smell came. Rot and salt and something sweet under it, like spoiled fruit. The air felt thick. Flies showed up, even with the wind. At sunset, the sea pulled back farther than I'd ever seen. The shore stretched out like it was drained. And there, where the ship once sat, was a man. He was chained to a post driven into the sand. The chain was the same one we found. His skin was dark, burned black by sun and age. Clothes stuck to him like they'd dried into his body. His mouth was open, not screaming, smiling. The boss said it was a body, an old burial. He said we'd call it in. Before he finished talking, the man inhaled. It wasn't a first breath. It was like he had been breathing the whole time and just let us hear it. One long pull. Then he spoke. "Who broke my ship?" No echo. No ghost sound. Just a dry voice, like sand scraped over stone. Nobody answered. He turned his head. Slow. Chains rattled, even though he didn't move his arms. He looked right at me. I don't know how I knew it was me, but I knew. "You did," he said. I backed up. I said no. I said I just worked here. He smiled wider. "That's what they said too." The chain snapped. Not rust breaking, not slow bend. It snapped clean. People ran. Someone fell. Someone screamed. I ran until my lungs burned. Behind me, I heard splashing, like something moving fast through shallow water. That night, 3 boats were found wrecked on the rocks. No storms. No warning. 2 men were missing. The company packed up and left in 2 days. They said it was unsafe. They didn't pay us. The elders gathered on the beach the 3rd night. They brought rum, salt, and fire. They sang old songs I didn't know. They told us the rest of the story. Captain Jude made a deal before he died. Not with God, not with the devil, with the sea. He promised blood in exchange for breath. As long as his ship stayed buried, he slept. We dug it up. Now, boats avoid our waters. Fish don't bite the same. Some nights, I hear a chain drag under the waves. Last week, a tourist went missing after renting a kayak. Calm day, clear sky. I don't go near the beach anymore. Because sometimes, when the tide is low, I see footprints around the old dredge site. Bare feet, heavy, and they stop right outside my door. After the first night we saw him breathe, nobody talked about it out loud. On an island like ours, silence means fear. You could hear it in the way people locked their doors early and kept radios on all night, even when the music stations were dead. The sea changed first. It didn't look different at a glance, but it felt wrong. The waves came in slower, heavier. When they hit the rocks, it sounded thick, like hitting wet meat instead of stone. Fishermen said their nets came back torn, like something had clawed through them. I went back to work because I needed money. A lot of us did. We told ourselves the body was a trick of the tide. A dead man can't just get up. But the dredge pit kept changing. Each morning the sand inside it was smooth again. No machine tracks, no boot prints, just clean, flat sand, like it had been brushed by hand. The boss tried to laugh it off. He said water moves sand, but he wouldn't go near the pit anymore. He stayed by his truck, smoking, hands shaking. On the 5th day, we found teeth. Human teeth. Not loose, still set in pieces of jawbone. White and clean, like they hadn't been underwater long. Elias's teeth. I knew because he had a broken one in front. Everyone knew that. Someone whispered that the pirate was rebuilding himself. That night, my neighbor Marla knocked on my door. She was crying so hard she couldn't talk at first. When she finally did, she told me her son saw a man standing by the shore. A tall man, no shirt, skin dark like burnt wood, chains hanging from his wrists down into the water. The boy said the man was counting boats, pointing at them, one by one. The elders told everyone to stay inside after sunset. Curtains closed, lights low. They said Jude could smell fear and rum. I don't know if that part was real, but nobody drank that week. I tried to leave the island. I packed a bag and went to the ferry dock early in the morning. Only one boat was there. The captain looked at me and shook his head before I spoke. "Engine dead," he said. "Salt in places it don't belong." Behind him, I saw deep scratches along the side of the hull. Long, even, like marks made by iron dragged slow. I went back home. That's when the dreams started. I was standing on a beach I didn't know. The sand was red and wet. Men were screaming from inside a dark cave. Their voices came out thin and far away, like through water. Behind me, someone laughed. I would turn, and every time, Jude was closer. In the dream, he smelled just like the dredge site, rot and salt and sweetness. His teeth were too white. His eyes never blinked. "You walk free," he told me every time. They didn't. I woke up each night with my mouth full of sand. A week later, the body was gone. No chains, no post, no marks in the sand, just empty shore. People tried to feel relieved, but that was worse. When something bad leaves without warning, it means it's not done. That same night, a storm hit without forecast. Short and violent. Wind screaming. Rain like nails. 3 boats broke from their moorings. One washed up split clean in half. Inside it was the boss. Alive. Barely. He kept saying the same thing over and over. "I said I was sorry. I said I was sorry." Then he started screaming and wouldn't stop until they sedated him. He never spoke again. Just stared at walls, mouth open, like he was still watching someone breathe. The elders said Jude takes what he's owed. He doesn't rush. He likes people to know it's coming. They performed the old rituals anyway. Rum poured into the sea. Salt lines drawn across doorways. They buried the dredge pit again by hand. No machines, no metal. It didn't fix everything. Fish never fully came back. Some nights, radios catch voices between stations. Men begging. Water filling their mouths. And once in a while, when the moon is low, I hear chains dragged slow across sand. Last month, I finally saw him again. I was coming home late. Power was out. The street was dark. I felt watched the whole walk. He stood at the end of the road, half in shadow. Same smile, same skin. The chains trailed behind him, but they weren't broken anymore. They were whole. He looked past me, at my house. "You remember," he said. "That's good." Then he stepped back toward the sea, and the darkness swallowed him. I haven't slept since, because every morning there's wet sand outside my door, and it smells like the tide just pulled someone under. After the body disappeared, the island tried to act normal. People still went to work, kids still went to school, music still played from car windows, but nothing felt right. Dogs started acting strange first. They wouldn't go near the shore. Even strong ones with sharp teeth pulled back and whimpered. At night, they barked at nothing, then stopped all at once, like something had looked back at them. My house sits 2 streets up from the beach. I've lived there my whole life. One night, I heard water drip inside my kitchen. Not a leak. Dripping footprints. Wet marks that smelled like old salt and iron. They stopped right before my bedroom door. I didn't open it. In the mornings, people compared stories in low voices. A woman said she heard someone pacing under her floor. A man said his fishing knife rusted overnight, like it had been buried for years. Another swore he woke up coughing water even though he hadn't been near the sea. The missing men were never found. No bodies, no blood, just their shoes washing up days later, placed side by side like someone left them there on purpose. The elders finally told us everything. Not the soft version for kids, the real one. Captain Jude didn't just betray his crew. He made them help seal their own death. He told them to stack stones inside the cave to hide the gold. When the tide came in, he stood outside and listened. Some begged, some cursed, some tried to sing so they wouldn't panic. Jude waited until the screaming stopped. The sea liked that. When his own crew caught him later, they didn't hang him because ropes break. They didn't shoot him because guns jam. They chained him where the tide could touch him, but not take him. Drown him slow. Let the water teach him fear. But Jude didn't scream. He laughed and offered the sea something better. The deal was simple. He would stay. He would rot. He would sleep. And in return, the sea would keep his breath until someone woke him. All we had to do was leave him buried. That night after the elders spoke, the power went out across the whole island. No storm, no warning, just darkness. I sat on my porch with a flashlight. That's when I saw the tide pull back again. Too far. Figures stood out there in the exposed sand. Not clear, not solid. Shapes where men should be. They faced the sea, waiting. One by one, waves rolled in and washed over them. Each time, one shape disappeared. Then I heard Jude. Not close. Everywhere. "They're still paying," he said. I slammed my door shut and didn't breathe until morning. A week later, the church flooded. Salt water came up through the floor, soaked the pews, ruined the books. The priest quit and left the island the next day. He wouldn't say why, only that something watched him pray and smiled. People tried to leave again. Boats wouldn't start. Paddles snapped. One man swam out past the reef to reach a yacht and never came back. The yacht left in a hurry that night. No one blamed them. Jude came to me again in my dreams, but now I saw more. I saw the cave filling with water, hands scratching stone, nails tearing, eyes wide in the dark. I felt chains around my wrists that weren't there when I woke up. "You heard us," Jude said once, calm as anything. "And you still sleep." I started staying awake instead. That's when I noticed the pattern. Every time someone disappeared, something old washed up. A broken compass, a rusted blade, a coin bitten clean through. Pieces of Jude's ship returning one by one. He wasn't haunting us. He was rebuilding. Last night, the tide pulled back again. I didn't look. I sat on my bed, lights off, holding my keys. I thought about running, about breaking whatever rule still holds him here. Then I heard the chains outside. Slow, careful, like he didn't want to scare me. He stopped at my door. "You were there," he said softly through the wood. "You woke me." The handle didn't turn. I don't know what happens next. I'm writing this while it's still dark. The sea is loud tonight. Too loud. If you read this and you're from an island, leave old things buried. If the sand ever moves on its own, don't help it.